Trump says he's ordered Pentagon to prepare for possible action in Nigeria, US. President Donald Trump said Saturday he has ordered the Defense Department to prepare for possible military action in Nigeria, as he continues to accuse the nation of not doing enough to stem violence against Christians, an accusation Nigeria has repeatedly denied. In a social media post criticizing what he called the mass slaughter of Christians in the country, Trump wrote the United States would immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and warned the government there to move fast. In the lengthy message, Trump said the US may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. Both Christians and Muslims have been victims of attacks by radical Islamists in the country of more than 230 million people. The violence in the country is driven by varying factors. Some incidents are religiously motivated and affect both groups, while others arise from disputes between farmers and herders over limited resources, as well as communal and ethnic tensions. Although Christians are among those targeted, local reports indicate that most victims are Muslims living in Nigeria's predominantly Muslim north. I am hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action, Trump wrote. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. Yes, sir, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth posted on social media with a screenshot of Trump's comments. The killing of innocent Christians in Nigeria and anywhere must end immediately. The Department of War is preparing for action. Either the Nigerian government protects Christians, or we will kill the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. Trump's announcement comes after he accused Nigeria of religious freedom violations on Friday, claiming that Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria and designating the nation as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act. The label is a suggestion that his administration has found that Nigeria has engaged in or tolerated systematic, ongoing, and egregious violations of religious freedom. In a social media post after the designation, but before Trump's mention of the military, Nigerian President Bola Tinubu wrote, "The characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians." He added that Nigeria is working with the United States government and the international community to deepen understanding and cooperation on protection of communities of all faiths. Tinubu's press secretary, responding to a social media post from U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio condemning the slaughter of thousands of Christians, called the characterization a gross exaggeration of the Nigerian situation, adding that Christians, Muslims, churches, and mosques are attacked randomly. What our country requires from America is military support to fight these violent extremists in some states of our country, not designation as a nation of particular concern, said Bayo Onanuga. UK train stabbing attack leaves 2 people fighting for their lives. Here's what we know: Britain was shocked by a mass stabbing attack on a train Saturday evening, targeting passengers as they travelled through central England on their way to London in an incident Prime Minister Keir Starmer has described as deeply concerning. 9 people were left with life-threatening injuries, 2 of whom were still fighting for their lives in hospital on Sunday, as the British Transport Police declared a major incident. 2 suspected attackers were detained within minutes of police receiving their first emergency call, as the train made an emergency stop at Huntingdon Station. Authorities have now confirmed they are 2 British-born males in their 30s. Police are working to determine a motive, but say there is no evidence to suggest the attack is terror-related. What happened? The high-speed London North Eastern Railway (LNER) train departed from the northern city of Doncaster at 6:25 p.m. local time on Saturday evening, bound for London. The train had just left Peterborough Station in Cambridgeshire when the attack took place. Passenger Wren Chambers told the BBC she initially heard some screaming and shouting coming from a carriage or 2 down, before a man ran down the train with a very clear wound, bleeding heavily from his arm. After seeing more people running past, Chambers grabbed her bag and coat. "I got Belongings of escaping passengers are seen on the ground at the entrance to the train station after a mass attack on a London-bound train in Huntingdon, England, Sunday, November 2, 2025. Kirsty Wigglesworth/AP, police received their first emergency call at approximately 7:42 p.m. local time and immediately deployed armed officers. Within 8 minutes of the first emergency call, the two suspects were arrested after the train made an unplanned emergency stop at Huntingdon Station. Armed police officers were seen running down the platform at the station, evacuating passengers while looking to neutralize any ongoing threat, British news agency PA Media reported. One eyewitness, who gave his name as Gavin, described one of the suspects being struck down by a police taser. Essentially, as they got closer to him, started shouting like, "Get down, get down." "I think it was a taser that got him down in the end," he told Sky News. The trauma-stricken train remained at Huntingdon Station Sunday morning, with medical equipment and other debris seen strewn on the platform. Who are the victims? A total of 11 victims received treatment in hospital. 10 people were taken to the hospital by ambulance, 9 of whom were in life-threatening condition, while another person later self-presented that evening. As of Sunday morning, 2 people remained fighting for their lives, British Transport Police Superintendent John Lovelace told reporters. Little other information has been given at this stage about the victims, including their ages. Eyewitnesses have reported seeing people with stab wounds and heavy bleeding. Who is behind the attack? 2 suspects were arrested on Saturday evening on suspicion of attempted murder. In an update on Sunday, police revealed both are British nationals in their 30s. One is a 32-year-old black British national, while the other is a 35-year-old British national of Caribbean descent, according to Superintendent Lovelace. Both were born in the UK, he added. They remained in separate police stations for questioning on Sunday morning. Police are still working to establish a motive, but say there is no indication it was terror-related. At this stage, there is nothing to suggest that this is a terrorist incident, Lovelace said. At this stage, it would not be appropriate to speculate on the cause of this incident. British Defence Secretary John Healey described the incident as an isolated attack in a Sky News interview. BTP had initially declared Plato, the national code word, when responding to a marauding terrorist attack, before later rescinding it. How common are such attacks in the UK? The UK rarely sees mass casualty events, and homicide rates are low compared to other Western nations. Gun crime is particularly low, with the country recording 5,103 offences involving firearms over this past year, according to government statistics. In comparison, knife crime has risen overall since 2011. Some 51,527 knife crime offences were recorded by forces in England and Wales in the previous 12 months, up until June 2025, according to data from the Office of National Statistics (ONS). Of those, 15,689 were recorded in London. British politicians and other key figures expressed their shock at Saturday's attack and offered their condolences to victims. "My thoughts are with all those affected, and my thanks go to the emergency services for their response. Anyone in the area should follow the advice of the police," British Prime Minister Keir Starmer wrote on X. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood said she was deeply saddened to hear about the stabbings, and that her thoughts go out to all those affected. In a statement released by Buckingham Palace, King Charles said, "My wife and I were truly appalled and shocked to hear of the dreadful knife attack that took place on board a train in Cambridgeshire last night. Our deepest sympathy and thoughts are with all those affected and their loved ones," he added. "We are particularly grateful to the emergency services for their response to this awful incident." The East Coast Main Line, on which the train was travelling, is one of the UK's busiest and most important railway routes. It connects major cities, running from London King's Cross to Edinburgh Waverley in Scotland.